They described it as just another family feud. But when the courtroom doors closed that fall morning in Flagstaff, Arizona, the reality was much darker. At the center of this lawbook tempest stood a family America had once loved, now torn apart by greed, deception, and a secret that would forever taint their name. And as Kody Brown brushed away silent tears, the world would shortly discover that behind the smiling veneer of sister wives was a $100,000 falsehood. A falsehood that almost killed them all. What would you do if those people you most trusted chose money over your suffering? Keep watching, because this is a story only just beginning. The sun cast its morning light through the high windows of the Coconino County Courthouse, casting streaks of gold across the highly polished floor. It ought to have been a typical Tuesday, but for the Brown family, nothing had been typical in years. Cameras once trailed behind them for reality TV. Now all eyes were on them for something a lot more severe. A courtroom fight that could reveal everything they had struggled so desperately to keep secret. Kody Brown sat quietly at the plaintiff's table, shaking hands on a thin pile of documents. Just a few seats over, Kody and Robyn huddled with their lawyer, their faces white, their eyes flicking towards Kody with fear and anger. This wasn't a divorce, it wasn't custody. This was money, and betrayal that had been buried deep under layers of family duty and finally spun deceit. It started 18 months ago, when Kody had been diagnosed with a condition that needed minor but costly surgery. It wasn't dangerous, but if she didn't have it, she would have chronic pain and a lifetime of complications. She had worked for decades, had helped support the family coffers, and had assumed that there would be sufficient in their joint accounts to fund her medical bills. But when she went to Kody, the man to whom she had entrusted her future, she was greeted with icy indifference. "We're stretched thin, Kody had said, leaning back in his chair with that familiar tone of authority. "We need to be smart about where the money goes." Kody had initially accepted it. Family budgets were never simple after all, but there was something in his tone on that day that had disturbed her. And when Robyn jumped in, saying that expenses were piling up and Kody should wait a few months, the unease was only increased. What Kody did not realize at the time was that there was a lot of money, more than $100,000, just lying dormant in a secret account. Kody and Robyn had opened without informing anyone else. Weeks turned into months, and Kody's situation continued to deteriorate. She took out loans, charged up credit cards, even thought about selling personal items. The family she had worked so hard to create, the one she had sacrificed everything for, had abandoned her. And Kody and Robyn were still living in style. Vacations, car upgrades, house remodels, while claiming the family was financially strained. The family tension became too much to bear. Janelle, ever the voice of reason, began questioning things. Meri, reserved and wary, had a feeling that something was not quite right. And Kody, increasingly betrayed by the moment, began poking around. What she uncovered would destroy whatever was left of their trust. Sneaked into a file of long-discarded tax documents was a bank statement, an account Kody had never previously known existed. The figure $104,287. Deposits signed by Kody, withdrawals authorized by Robyn. And most damning of all, several transactions that matched personal purchases they'd asserted were emergency expenses. Kody approached them, her words trembling with rage and sadness. "Yours told me there was no money," she said, waving the printed statement. "We made plans," Robyn retorted, her voice defensive. "This wasn't about you. It was my money too," Kody yelled, all her frustration erupting over years. It was then that she realized, this wasn't betrayal, this was theft. The lawsuit followed weeks afterward. Kody's lawyers charged Kody and Robyn with fraudulent concealment of marital funds, a civil complaint that, if successful, would bring restitution and penalties. For Kody, there was more at stake than dollars. His reputation, already in shambles through the glare of public scrutiny, was being put to trial. For Robyn, it was the loss of all she thought she had won. The courtroom air was stifling. Every look, every hushed conversation was filled with years of unhealed bitterness. Kody's lawyer started, his tone controlled but cutting. "This is more than a case about money," he informed the jury. "This is a case about betrayal, about trust betrayed, about a woman who sacrificed everything to a family and was reduced to begging for assistance while her husband and co-wife concealed more than $100,000. Kody's defense told a different story, one of misunderstanding, of miscommunication. They claimed that the money was earmarked for future family projects, and that Christine never asked directly for that particular money. But the jury wasn't buying. Neither was the public. When news of the case broke, so did outrage. Viewers who had previously regarded the Browns as the embodiment of alternative love now viewed greed, manipulation, and hypocrisy. If betrayal had a cost, Christine was soon to discover just how valuable hers was. Behind the scenes, meanwhile, old allegiances were realigning. Janelle provided emotional support for Christine, behind the scenes attending court hearings and talking to journalists. Meri stayed on the periphery, torn but growing more appalled by Kody's behavior. And Robyn, erstwhile good wife, found herself the target of public outrage. "We did what we believed was right," Robyn sobbed in an interview with a reporter. "This was not about hurting anyone." "Why did you lie then?" was the response she couldn't give. Christine, for the first time in years, felt strong, not because of revenge, but because of truth. It wasn't merely about surgery. It was about regaining her dignity, her autonomy, and the years of emotional work she had invested in a marriage no longer worthy of her. As the judge was about to make a preliminary decision, the courtroom grew quiet. Kody fidgeted in his chair. Robyn did not meet anyone's eye. And Christine sat forward, staring straight ahead, unblinking and unafraid. And just as everyone thought the worst was behind them, a sealed envelope was handed to Christine's lawyer, with information that could blow the entire case wide open. This secrets have a way of surfacing, and this one was more valuable than they could have ever dreamed. This takes money to rebuild a house, but it takes more than that to mend broken trust. The courtroom had seen its share of lies, but never one that cut as deep. Christine's lawyer opens the envelope, his eyes scanning its contents in widening incredulity. He leans over and whispers something in Christine's ear. Her face changes, not with anger, not with relief, but with utter shock. Whatever was contained in that envelope was larger than $100,000, and it was going to make this case the battle of their lives. They say the truth doesn't walk into a courtroom, it explodes. The second the clerk stamps the sealed envelope and pushes it over to Christine's attorney, the atmosphere shifts, like everyone can feel a fuse has just been ignited, and none of us have any idea how long it is. We don't see the explosion yet. We only hear it in the silence that comes after, in the way Kody ceases to tap his shoe, in the way Robyn's fingers intertwine and separate, desperate, seeking an out that doesn't exist. Christine keeps her gaze straight ahead. She's learned that glancing over at them, at him, draws her back into habit. Today the habit shatters. "Your Honor," her lawyer states, voice low and even. "With the court's leave, we request to supplement the record with newly acquired financial exhibits. They were prepared under seal pursuant to privacy limitations, and are specifically responsive to the issue of hidden assets." The judge nods, spectacles slipping to the end of his nose. "Proceed." He picks up the first paper and the story starts to fall back into place. Numbers becoming decisions, decisions becoming lies, lies becoming the type of silence that makes people lose their health. Exhibit A is a bank statement that doesn't look impressive at first. A household account, small figures, sporadic deposit. It's the crumbs that count. The ledger is drawn into a second account, one out of state, then a third. A limited liability company created 18 months back to the very month Christine originally requested assistance. The firm name is professional, clean, unremarkable, not made to provoke question. Birch and Row Holdings LLC. The courtroom murmurs. Janelle, sitting behind the bar, stiffens, her jaw clenched. Meri glances down, as though embarrassed for all of them. Kody's lawyer stands. Objection, lack of foundation. "We haven't heard thee. You'll get your chance," the judge says, palm up, eyes fixed on the paper. Overruled for now. The following sheet is heavier. A signature card, 2 signatures, not one. The first one is Kody's, smooth and awkward, the looping K that attempts to appear important. The second is Robyn's. Her pen pressure is hard, like every letter had to be chiseled into the paper to make the decision tangible. Christine's lawyer does not smirk. He does not have to. These accounts channeled a total of $103,900 in 9 months. The transfers broke just below reporting thresholds, automatically requiring notification. $9,800. $9,900. Never $10,000. That was not an accident. That was structuring. A shiver moves through the gallery. Structuring is a word people associate with crime. The attorney clarifies quickly. We're not here on criminal charges. We're here to show a pattern of concealment, to establish that these defendants, Mr. Brown and Miss Brown, set aside funds earmarked for a shared household without disclosure to Miss Christine Brown, while simultaneously representing to her that there were no funds for medical care. Kody's attorney pushes back, attempting to calm the waters. Business expenses, separate marital decision. There is no indication this money was ever hers, but the chronology is dated. Christine's attorney retorts, sliding the last page into place, and so is the memo line on this transfer. Medical reserve hold. Robyn appears as if the ground beneath her has given way. Kody, for once, seems less furious than trapped. He leans over to whisper to his attorney, who nods uncertainly. Some secrets are digits on a page. Others are the fingers that shifted those digits where nobody would search. The judge waves. Call your witness. Plaintiff calls Miss Harper Collins, not the writer. Only a forensic accountant with a serene countenance and patience, so sweet that she could reduce turmoil to graphs. She narrates the course of the money in measured, uncomplicated tones. Even the jurors who've never written a check can grasp this. If a family is a body, the Browns were hemorrhaging dollars in veins. Christine couldn't perceive. Harper clicks on a date on a projector. April 12th, Miss Brown. Christine made a request for funding for a diagnostic test. That same week, the defendants made a transfer of $9,850 from the family account to Birch and Rowe. May 3rd, another request. May 6th, another $9,900 transfer. In June, Miss Brown sought a medical credit line. In June, the defendants bought an expensive car. Money funneled out of Birch and Rowe, taken out as a cashier's check. Jurors look over at Kody. He raises his chin as if pretension can balance the books. Cross-examination is to confuse. You can't establish intent, can you? Kody's lawyer queries. Transfers occur. Companies require capital. Harper does not wince. Intent is for the trier of fact. Patterns are mine, and this pattern is meant to be unseen. It's Robyn who cracks the posture first. Under oath, she acknowledges that the LLC was a safety net for future projects, that she didn't want to fight about money anymore, that things were toxic. The word hits with a thud, because toxic is feeling, and this case is about facts. The attorney thanks her and continues. Then comes the surprise nobody anticipates. The sealed envelope contained more than banking. It had a lease, an executive suite in Phoenix leased to Birch and Rowe Holdings, equipped and paid for. The suite is tiny but not symbolic. It's a quiet office in a quiet building, with a quiet mission, a spot where mail can come unseen, where accounts can be opened, where the existence of a company can breathe without anyone in the family knowing. Why did you require a suite 2 hours from home? The attorney interrogates. For privacy, Kody responds too hastily. To brainstorm business concepts without interference. Interference from whom? From the show. From the show. From family. The attorney nods like an oncoming storm cloud receiving lightning. From Christine, Kody's lips thin. From all of it. Christine sits quietly, hands clasped together, observing the control habit struggle to endure. Exposure. The record indicates a payment on the suite designated consulting retainer, another designated brand strategy. And in July, when Christine's physician wrote a letter recommending surgery within the year to avoid irreparable complication, Birch and Rowe issued funds for a 4-day resort visit dubbed off-site planning. The jury does not sigh, but their shoulders drop. Justice is not a straight line. It's a road with glass on it. When you are told you're broke while constructing a secret room, believe the room, not the story. The judge calls for a recess. The hallway is filled with reporters and the low hum of public judgment. Janelle slips to Christine's side, a steady presence. You okay? Christine nods. I will be. Down the hallway, Kody stands tall in front of a camera crew he once greeted. This is a misunderstanding, he declares. We were creating a future. We had to transfer funds to preserve our option. This is being manipulated. A reporter poses the one question that appears to be important. Was the $100,000 ever intended to assist Christine in obtaining her surgery? Kody gapes. He doesn't respond. The cameras provide the vocabulary for him. In court again, time speeds up. Christine's lawyer now weaves emails into the narrative. Brief words that carry the weight of purpose. Hold off on telling her. We can't continue stonewalling her expectation. Optics are poor. Steer clear of a lump sum transfer. They're not smoking guns, but they're not nothing at all. Each sentence brings a juror's gaze a little nearer to comprehension. Then in the bottom of an email comes an old name, a money advisor who used to work with the family in the early days of their TV life. The advisor noted the optics and cautioned against keeping family money stashed in a new business without everyone's permission. That caution was disregarded. The defense shifts. We had verbal agreement. Kody maintains on the stand. We decided to keep finances out of the madness. Everyone understood things shifted. Everyone, the attorney asked, voice barely above a whisper. Or just the two of you? His pause is the answer. Robyn blinks away tears she doesn't want, or maybe can't stop. We never wanted to hurt her, she says, finally looking at Christy. We thought we'd fix it later. Later is a currency people use when they don't want to spend the truth today. Court day creeps towards its close, when the judge poses a soft-spoken question with thunder behind it. Counsel, this is a civil case involving hidden funds, but I am duty-bound to inquire. Is there any proof of forged documents submitted to lenders or to the court? The gallery freezes. Christine's attorney glances at the table, his hand on the last page which arrived under seal. He has held it for this very breath. There is, Your Honor. He holds up a photocopy. Two signatures once more, Kody's and Robyn's, but the heading is not the same. It's a statement of home cash flow included with a credit application 3 months later when the LLC was still intact. The figures under medical obligations are empty space. The line on which Christine's recurring expenses are supposed to go is blank. A sum at the bottom attests that to the best of our knowledge, this statement is true and complete. The judge's tone is even. Who signed this? Our office can verify the metadata, the lawyer explained. And the notary stamp tracks back to the Phoenix suite. The lawyer for Kody growls a protest. Apples and oranges. Different timelines. The application was about a business line, not personal expenses. The judge nods, unmoved. Regardless, the exclusion is material to the concealment claim. This isn't about what was stolen. It's about what was removed to keep the stealing. The noise in the room becomes the creak of pencil, jurors scribbling, the record racing to catch up with the truth. The judge gestures that he'll permit some testimony tomorrow regarding the credit filing Phoenix suite and warnings from the advisor. Kody clamps his jaw. Robyn's stare lands on a spot that doesn't exist. As the court adjourns for the day, Christine stands. For the first time she looks across the aisle, not to relive anything, but to mark the moment. She isn't the woman asking anymore. She's the woman answering. On the way out, her attorney touches her elbow. There's one more document, he says quietly. We didn't need it today. We'll need it tomorrow. What is it? She asks. He pauses, evidence the $100,000 was not the ceiling. It was the floor. Elevator doors slide closed on Christine's shocked face as, down the corridor, a plainclothes officer enters the courtroom with a thin black folder complete with a state seal, labeled urgent additional financial disclosure, offshore activity found. The courtroom is different the next morning. It's heavier, as if the oxygen itself is thick with secret. Reporters occupy the benches, pens at the ready. Cameras snap as Christine walks in, accompanied by her lawyer. But the main event is yet to be staged when the bailiff calls the court to order, and the black folder labeled urgent is put before the judge. He skims through the pages carefully, his forehead furrowing with each line. The quiet is oppressive, until he looks up, eyes scanning over Kody and Robyn as if a man looking at a couple of loaded guns. Counsel, he states, voice serious, the court has been made aware of supplemental disclosures from the Arizona Financial Crimes Division. It seems there are offshore accounts that relate to the entity that is called Birch and Rowe Holdings. I will permit this evidence to be included in the record. Gasps spread through the courtroom. Robyn's hands spring to her mouth. Kody's jaw tenses. Christine leans forward into the case, her heart racing in her chest. She had never dreamed this. Christine's lawyer stands up, walking slowly in front of the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, what you're about to see is not a secret account. It is an elaborate system, constructed to transfer money across borders, disguise it from detection, and make it unavailable to the very people who were due it. The deceit that we bury for dollars is never buried, merely waiting for someone courageous enough to unearth. He presses a button on the projector. The first image materializes, a wire transfer receipt from Birch and Rowe to a Cayman Islands financial institution. Another, this one, to a tiny bank in Luxembourg. and another through a brokerage house in the British Virgin Islands. Each one is timed within weeks of Christine's medical appeal. Each one is signed by Kody or Robyn. Each one is just shy of $10,000, the exact same careful arrangement they'd employed before. More than $187,000. The lawyer goes on, his tone growing more indignant with each sentence. Money that was withdrawn from household accounts, routed through a shell company, and stashed abroad. All while Christine was being led to believe there was nothing to spare. The jury is transfixed. The judge even leans forward a bit, his chin on his hand. Kody's attorney springs to his feet. Objection, Your Honor, these were investment accounts. There is no sign of illegality. Investment? Christine's lawyer snaps back. Is it an investment to keep money from your own family? Is it an investment to tell a hurting woman there's no hope, while exporting her to Cayman? The judge raps his gavel once, not to quiet the room, but to steady it. The objection is noted. The jury will determine intent. The prosecution's second witness onto the stand, a forensic examiner from the Arizona Financial Crimes. He's matter of fact, deliberate, chillingly accurate. These accounts were intentionally broken up, he says. The transfers were designed to prevent regulatory red flags. We also found that the LLC's Phoenix mailing address, the main contact listed for a private asset management company, one that deals with high net worth clients who want to hide assets. He clicks another slide. This one comes with a bullet. A document called Asset Protection Strategy, Birch and Row Holdings. On page 1, a mission statement, to protect liquid assets from exposure through litigation, marital claims, or personal liability. The courtroom gasped and whispered. Christine's heart thumps. Marital claim. That was this. Money tucked away for security is one thing. Money tucked away to extinguish someone's rights is another. Kody readjusts in his seat, a drop of perspiration on his forehead. His lawyer speaks desperately under his breath, but the harm is already done. All the jurors are staring at him now, not as a misguided father, but as a man staging a cover-up. The reporter goes on. We also tracked 2 withdrawals from the Cayman account for $42,000. Those were spent on a high-end vacation package in Turks and Caicos in the name of Robyn Brown. The vacation was 2 months after Miss Brown's request for surgery was turned down for insufficient funds. Robyn's face contorts. That holiday was booked months earlier, she bursts out, her voice quivering. Please limit your remarks to questions, the judge admonished, but the damage is done. The jury isn't hearing excuse. They're witnessing a house of lies come crashing down. Cross-examination is ruthless. Kody sits in the stand, his normal confidence shaken. His lawyer ushers him along with gentle questions at first. Mr. Brown, were you trying to defraud anyone? Absolutely not, Kody replies, voice low but stern. We were told to diversify. We didn't think Christine had any right to that money. Did you ever plan on hurting her? Never. We were defending the family. Christine's lawyer walks up, slow and measured, like a predator stalking its prey. Defending the family, he says. Which part of the family? The part that goes on luxury vacations or the part that incurs medical debt? Kody bristled. We were thinking long term. Christine was being emotional. The lawyer holds up a document. Is this emotional? A memo you wrote to Robyn, telling her to keep quiet about the offshore accounts until after Christine gives up on the surgery? The courtroom erupts. Robyn covers her face with her hands. Christine inhales softly, the air escaping from her lungs. The memo is 2 weeks prior to when she had drawn out a personal loan to pay for an overdue consultation fee. It's not betrayal when individuals don't give a damn. It's betrayal when they do care, and lie anyways. Kody's lawyer protests again, but too late now. The memo's been authenticated. The intent is incontrovertible. The courtroom's not deliberating anymore if Kody lied. It's deliberating to what extent the lie extended. The prosecution's final punch is unbearable. They produce a surprise witness, an ex-financial advisor to the Brown family. He strides to the stand, visibly nervous but firm. I cautioned them, he says, matter-of-factly. I said that concealing assets would expose them to legal liability. Kody responded to me and said, word for word, she'll never find it. And if she does, she won't have the stomach for a fight. A shocked gasp ripples through the courtroom. Christine sits, her eyes fixed straight ahead, not glancing at him. That phrase, she won't have the stomach for a fight, resonates in her mind like a siren. The advisor goes on, I quit after that meeting. I couldn't continue with it. The judge summons order. but order no longer exists. The courtroom is mayhem. Reporters dashing out to report the news, observers muttering excitedly. Robyn crying quietly on a tissue. Kody sits there, immobile, the color gone from his cheeks. Christine breathes slowly. For the first time in decades, she senses something akin to justice. But as her lawyer is about to rest the case, a court clerk comes hurrying into the chamber and surreptitiously hands the judge a note. He reads it once, twice, then puts it down with a sigh. Counsel, he states, now with a tone hinting at something new, something that borders on disbelief. The court has just been apprised that a federal government agency has initiated an investigation into possible money laundering and tax evasion relating to these accounts. I must advise you that this case is likely to cross over from civil court in the very near future. The room falls silent. Christine's eyes go wide. Robyn leans forward in her attorney's arms, and Kody, for the first time in his life, appears afraid. The lies which protected them in the past have now invited the attention of the one thing that they can't control: the federal government. When the judge calls the court to a close for the day, Christine's lawyer leans over and whispers in her ear, "This just isn't about surgery or money anymore. This will put them in prison." And at that moment, Christine knows the true battle isn't over. It's only now starting. The courthouse is almost at capacity before the sun even comes up. A storm is brewing and everybody knows that. News vans fill the parking lot. Plainclothes federal agents loiter around the back door. And in the middle of it all, Christine Brown sits in stunned silence. Because this isn't just a lawsuit anymore. It's a federal investigation. And the family she once knew is now possible criminal defendant. The atmosphere in the courtroom is charged, electric with tension and fear. When the judge comes in, the formalities are a sham. Everyone senses that today will bring everything to a head. Kody and Robyn show up separately for the first time since the trial started. They don't even glance at each other. Robyn's eyes are red from crying. Kody's once majestic posture is hunched and defeated. Already the burden of the investigation is bearing down on them. Christine's lawyer starts, his voice icier now, more concise. Your Honor, since our last hearing we have received assurances that the Department of Justice and the IRS have commenced investigations into offshore accounts and related financial activity connected to the defendant. We also have new evidence which indicates efforts were made to impede this very litigation. The term obstruct explodes like a grenade. Robyn's lawyer leaps from his chair. Objection. This is outrageous conjecture. It's not conjecture, snaps Christine's lawyer, banging a folder on the evidence table. It's an email chain in which Mr. Brown instructs his accountant to clean up records and reclassifies foreign transfers as consulting just 3 days after this court demanded financial disclosure. The judge's voice is biting. Mr. Brown, did you know about this? Kody fidget. I don't know, I don't think. Then let me remind you, the attorney says, holding up a photocopied email. Robyn and I decided that this money shouldn't appear to be just sitting. Transfer what you can before Christine catch wind. A wave of gasps fills the courtroom. Robyn appears to be on the verge of passing out. Kody massages his temples. Christine remains still. She has witnessed so much now that she cannot be shocked. It is when individuals begin rewriting history that the truth scares them. The next federal investigator called to testify is businesslike. No drama, no feeling, only crushing clarity. Our initial audit reveals more than $480,000 transferred overseas since the formation of Birch and Rowe Holding, he replies quietly. Of that, roughly $190,000 never crossed the reporting boundary on any of their tax returns. And there were at least 4 wire transfers that were masked by fake vendor invoices. Fake invoices, the judge repeats, his tone low and menacing. Yes, Your Honor. There are no entities listed as consultants or legal advisors. 2 were traced to shell companies registered in Belize. The gallery breaks out. Reporters almost tumble over one another, scrambling to leave and write up their stories. Kody's lawyer pleads for a recess. Ingans? The judge denies it. Christine's lawyer advances once more. This was never about family finances. It was about fraud. It was about defrauding this court, the government, and the very people Mr. Brown purported to protect. Then the emotional booms start. The prosecution calls Robyn to testify. Her lawyer tells her to plead the fifth, but she will not. Shaking, tear-stained, she stands before the jury. I had no idea how far it had proceeded, She speaks softly. I thought we were merely saving money. I didn't know he was falsifying documents. Did you sign any of those documents? Yes, she responds, voice cracking. Because he promised me everything was legal. He assured me it was standard. I trusted him. Christine's lawyer leans forward. And when Christine requested assistance, when she required surgery, did you know that money was available? Robyn's lips quiver. Yes, the courtroom falls silent. Pens cease to scritch. Even the judge drops his eyes. Christine's eyes close, a tear slipping silently down her face. Why? The lawyer asks gently. Why not tell her? Robyn draws a breath. Because if she knew, she would have left. And if she left, it would all come apart. It's never about the dollars. It's about power. And the fear of losing it. Then it's Kody's turn. He's aggressive, angry. But there's a fissure in his self-assurance now. A desperation he can't conceal. Mr. Brown, Christine's lawyer starts, walking slowly. Did you direct your accountant to invest funds offshore? No, I gave general instructions to take care of our finances. Did you know about the shell companies? I trusted experts. I don't micromanage. Did you falsify any federal documents? I don't remember. The lawyer gets closer to the witness stand, holding up an autographed tax statement. This is your signature, is it not? Yes, and on this report, you listed $42,000 in total foreign assets for the year. The real figure was $190,000. Explain that. Kody stutters, perspiration breaking out on his forehead. I didn't know there was a discrepancy. The attorney's tone sinks to a razor's edge. So you lied. Or you're confessing to having no idea where close to $150,000 of your own money went. Which is it, Mr. Brown? The hush is oppressive. Kody shoots Robyn a glance. She's got her head down, crying into her hands. He regards the jury, blank faces, cold, unforgiving. Then the turn nobody sees coming. The prosecutor, now acting in federal interest, stands and addresses the judge. Your Honor, based on the evidence put before us, and in consultation with the IRS and Department of Justice, we will be filing criminal charges of tax evasion, wire fraud and obstruction of justice against Mr. Kody Brown and Miss Robyn Brown. The courtroom erupts. Robyn inhales sharply. Kody bangs his fist on the table. Christine's breath is caught in her throat. This is no longer a lawsuit. This is the threat of jail time. The judge demands order at once. These are preliminary filing. Formal indictments will be determined by a grand jury. Pending that, this trial will continue. But all parties are now under federal investigation. You can stash money, you can stash proof, but you can't stay in hiding from the law indefinitely. As day turns to night, Christine's lawyer utters his final words to the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, what started as a case about a woman seeking aid is now a case about a worldwide fraud scheme of deception. But the essence of it has not changed. The individuals who were tasked with managing family resources decided to lie, to hide, and to profit. All while a person they professed to care about was in distress. That is not family. That is fraud. The judge calls the court to order. Robyn is ushered out a side door, between federal agents. Kody sits for an interminable moment, eyes empty and fixed on the floor. The flash of the cameras, whispers growing louder. And deep inside the cacophony, Christine breathes, not in victory, but in fatigue. This fight isn't finished. It's just moving to a different battlefield. One that's more elevated, more brutal, and no promises. Justice is slow, but once it begins, it won't stop for anyone. When Christine emerges from the courthouse, a reporter yells one question that brings her to a standstill. Mrs. Brown, how do you feel about the possibility of Kody and Robyn being sentenced to up to 20 years in prison? Christine doesn't respond. She just glances back at the courthouse, and for the first time questions whether the justice she's been seeking is about to cost more than she ever could have dreamed. The courthouse seems different now. Quieter, heavier, more perilous. The headlines splashed across every newspaper and news program have done their job. Federal investigation targets Kody and Robyn Brown. Reality TV's favorite family heads to prison. But within Courtroom 3B, the hush is no longer about shock. It's about inevitability. Everybody knows this case is no longer about money now. It's about survival. Christine enters slowly, her heart beating with a combination of happiness and sadness. She never wanted it to come to this. She never wanted to kill the father of her children, or watch someone she used to refer to as sister wife be taken away in handcuffs. But greed does have a way of penning its own script, and now it's being written in ink of law. The bomb is dropped before the session is even called to order. In a hushed voice, the prosecution tells the defense and judge that Robyn Brown has opened plea talks. Gasps traverse the gallery. Christine's lawyer leans in toward her. "This could be it," he whispers. "If she flips, the whole case collapses on Kody." Christine has a twinge down in her chest. Not triumph, not happiness, but a sorrow she can't quite articulate. Robyn, who used to smile at her side on birthdays and Sunday dinner, could now be the government's star witness. When loyalty confronts the possibility of prison, loyalty always cracks first. Court is called, and Robyn's lawyer asks for a closed hearing. The judge refuses. Too much public interest, too much riding on it. The facts leak into open record. "Your Honor," Robyn's attorney begins, voice firm but weighty. "My client is ready to sign a cooperation agreement. She is ready to give complete testimony and records on all offshore accounts, shell companies and false reports, including direct orders from Mr. Kody Brown, in exchange for lesser sentencing." The room explodes in murmurs. Kody looks like he's been shot. His jaw tightens, his fists clench, and his glare could burn through steel. "You're betraying me," he hisses under his breath. Robyn doesn't look at him. She just stares straight ahead, tears sliding silently down her face. "I'm saving myself," she whispers back. The prosecution wastes no time. They put Robyn on the stand under limited immunity, and what comes out is one of the most incendiary testimonies in the history of reality television. "I didn't know how deep it was at first." Robyn starts, her voice shaking. "Kody told me it was about protecting the family. He said Christine was trying to destroy us financially, and that we needed to keep money safe." "Did you have Mr. Brown tell you to set up shell companies?" "Yes." "Did he tell you to assist in moving money offshore?" "Yes." "Did you understand the money was being kept from Christine?" Robyn swallows hard. "Yes." Her admission cuts through the courtroom like a knife. Christine's hands clench around the table to keep them from shaking. The jurors move forward, riveted. Each yes, Robyn says, is another stake in Kody's defense. Then the lawyer asks what everyone has been waiting for. "Did Mr. Brown ever tell you that these things were against the law?" Long pause. Robyn wipes at her eyes. "Yes," she whispers. "He said we had to do it discreetly, so the IRS wouldn't stick its nose where it didn't belong." Some betrayals are desperate acts. Others are admissions of wrongdoing. The cross-examination is merciless. Kody's attorney attempts to portray Robyn as a fabricator, a woman desperate to save herself by making up a story. But the prosecution has receipts, emails, bank statements, offshore filings, and they all correspond perfectly with what she's saying. Kody is next on the stand, and it's a train wreck from the beginning. The cool, self-assured man America used to see on Sunday evenings is replaced by a desperate man grasping for any justification. They're distorting everything he maintains. It was about asset protection. Christine abandoned the family. She wasn't entitled to that money. Was she entitled to truth? Christine's lawyer retorts. Kody does not respond. Did she have a right to know that $480,000 you shipped out of the country? Silence still. Did she have a right? The lawyer's voice breaks like thunder. To healthcare without having to beg for crumbs while you vacationed on her portion of the cash. Kody's face turns red. "She left us," he bursts. "She broke the doctrine of this family. She betrayed me. Why should I have given her anything?" The courtroom freezes. Said single outburst, raw, unfiltered, dripping with contempt, lands harder than any evidence. It reveals the truth behind everything. This was never about money. It was about punishment, about power. Then comes the next betrayal. Janelle Brown, long silent and neutral, is called as a witness, and this time she doesn't hold back. "I saw things," she asserts. "Transfers, talking. Kody told me to mind my own business. But when Christine begged for assistance and he told her there was none, I knew he was lying." "Why didn't you speak up sooner?" the lawyer inquires. Her eyes brim with tears. "Because I was afraid. Because I didn't want to believe the man I married could do this." Christine glances at her, and for the first time in years, they have a silent understanding. They both speak the language of betrayal now. The truth doesn't kill families, lies do. By noon, the trial has become a psychological autopsy from a legal proceeding. Each witness, each document, Each confession peels another layer off the Brown family's veneer. The once smiling patriarch is a man trapped by his own decisions. And then yet another shock. The court is told by the prosecution that a federal grand jury has been impaneled to hear indictments for conspiracy to defraud the United States government, tax evasion, wire fraud, and obstruction. Kody may get as much as 35 years behind bars if he is convicted on all charges. His face turns pale. Robyn weeps openly. The courtroom is in shocked silence. Christine sits quietly, taking deep breaths. This is the justice she never expected to see. But it doesn't taste like triumph. It tastes like the end of a tragedy. With the day winding down, the prosecution summons Christine herself to the witness stand for the first time. She rises slowly, each step more burdensome than the last. And when she testifies, her voice is gentle but firm. "I never sought revenge," she says to the court. "I just wanted honesty. I wanted the father of my children to do what was right. I wanted the man I trusted to prove to me that trust wasn't a waste. But instead I was lied to, manipulated, and left to flounder. All so he could maintain control." She hesitates, her gaze locked on Kody. "I'm not here to wreck you. You did a fine job of it yourself." The courtroom is stunned. The judge himself appears shaken. Justice isn't about punishment in the end. It's about responsibility. As Christine leaves the witness stand, a U.S. Marshal enters the courtroom, whispers something to the prosecutor, and hands him a sealed indictment. The prosecutor's face bleaches white. "Your Honor," he says slowly, "we've just been informed this case has expanded. There are now international money laundering charges under review, and they involve more than just the Browns." Christine's heart skips a beat. If this is true, the web of lies is far bigger than she ever imagined, and the real story might only be beginning. ChatGPT said, "By the 6th day of testimony, Sister Wives is no longer a reality program. It's a federal crime drama unfolding on real life." Overnight, the headlines change from scandal to possible international conspiracy. Terms like money laundering, cross-border fraud, and foreign criminal enterprise now buzz around the Brown name like vultures around carrion. Christine sits across from the plaintiff's table from her lawyer, her breathing shallow and palms chilly. She had believed the offshore accounts were the end of it, that revealing the trail of money in the Cayman Islands was the coup de grace to Kody and Robyn's demise. But now, the government's newest revelation suggests something much more sinister. The air in the courtroom is charged with energy as the judge bangs the gavel to bring the room to silence. This session will cover supplemental evidence presented by federal investigators on purported international financial activity associated with Birch and Rowe Holding. He looks over the top of his glasses at Kody and Robyn. "I remind the defendants that any new charges which result from these discoveries may hold important criminal consequences." Kody swallows hard. Robyn glares at the floor, her hands shaking beneath the table. Both of them refuse to glance at Christine. Prosecution does not wait. "Your Honor," the senior federal prosecutor starts, "our ongoing investigation has followed several offshore transfers past the Cayman Islands. We have found accounts and shell companies in Switzerland, Singapore, and Dubai, each under the same Birch and Rowe umbrella. More significantly, these accounts had incoming wire transfers from third-party sources now under investigation for financial crimes." The gallery gasps. Christine's head reels. This is not merely secret money. It's tainted money. "Do you have any proof these monies were knowingly accepted?" the judge inquires. "Yes, Your Honor." The prosecutor advances a slide to the screen. "This is a letter dated March 14th of last year. Mr. Brown authored. And I quote, 'Our partners in Zurich agreed to hold the funds under the umbrella until our domestic products cooled down.'" Kody's lawyer jumps to his feet. "Objection, that's being taken out of context." The prosecutor strikes back. "So maybe Mr. Brown can tell us what domestic issues he was talking about and why funds from a possible money laundering operation were showing up in an account directly associated with his LLC. The deeper the lie, the darker the truth lurking beneath it." Then, the hammer falls. An FBI Financial Crimes Task Force special agent appears in the stand. Cool, deliberate, lethal. "Our office has verified at least 2 entities that are pumping money into Birch and Rowe Holdings are under investigation for global tax evasion and organized financial fraud. These entities, Bayridge Consultancy, Limited and Henslow Capital AG are mere fronts employed by established asset protection networks, with connections to Russian and Middle Eastern shell companies. The courtroom erupts. The judge pounds his gavel to restore order. Christine feels her chest tighten. This has spiraled far beyond what any of them imagined. Agent, Christine's attorney asks, is there any evidence Mr. Brown or Miss Brown knew the source of these funds? Direct evidence, not yet, the agent says, but their communications and the careful structuring of the deals strongly imply willful blindness, which under federal law can amount to knowing participation. The defense collapses. Kody's lawyer attempts to plead ignorance. My clients had no reason to think these were criminal proceeds. They were in legitimate asset management. But the prosecutor is not giving up. Then why, he asks, brandishing another email, did Mr. Brown tell his accountant to route transfers through Zurich to avoid IRS attention? Silence is louder than any protest. Criminals don't stash money because they're innocent. They stash it because they're afraid of getting caught. As the testimony gets deeper, the prosecution reveals another layer. One of the Dubai accounts they disclose was associated with a luxury property buy in secret. A $1.2 million property bought in the name of a pseudonym mere months prior to Christine's filing for separation. The prosecutor directs her attention to Kody. Mr. Brown, did you buy a property abroad? Kody squirms in his seat. I don't remember. Would looking at the deed jog your memory? The lawyer holds up a document signed by Kody, thinly veiled under a holding company, but his nonetheless. Did you assume nobody was going to discover this? The prosecutor goes on. Did you think the IRS wouldn't be able to follow a multi-million-dollar property to a man who's claiming financial distress in court? Kody's silence is eloquent. The day only gets worse for him. When an old accountant from Birch and Row, who has been promised immunity for her testimony, is called to testify. She speaks in a firm but burdened tone. Kody knew everything, she testifies. He reviewed every transfer, signed off on every shell company. He told us to label everything as consulting or intellectual property licensing to avoid audits. And yes, he was aware the Dubai account was receiving suspicious deposits. The defense tries to discredit her, but she produces emails, internal memos, and financial logs that align perfectly with the paper trail. Then the most incriminating sentence of all, he told me, and I remember this word for word. Christine will never see a cent of this money. I'll burn it before she touches it. The gallery gasps in unison. Christine looks down at her hands, her heart racing. This wasn't about keeping the family safe. This was about ruining her. When greed evolves into vengeance, money is used as a weapon. With the prosecution resting, Kody's defense has nowhere to go. Their tactic changes from denial to desperation. They claim that Kody was manipulated by foreign advisors, that Robyn was kept in the dark, that Christine is motivated by revenge. But the jury isn't swallowing it. The mountain of evidence is too high, the pattern too deliberate, the lies too intricate. Then, in a stunning maneuver, the DOJ attorney asks for a delay of the civil proceedings so a grand jury can consider the new evidence for possible RICO charges, the identical federal law used to prosecute organized crime. RICO? Repeats Christine's lawyer, aghast. Yes, answers the prosecutor. If it is found that Mr. Brown knowingly conducted financial transactions with criminal organizations in a structured scheme, he could be charged under federal racketeering laws. The courtroom erupts once more. Cameras flash. Witnesses whisper in awe. This is no longer a matter of stolen cash or secret accounts. This is about organized crime. The further the truth reaches, the more it hurts, and this truth is about to shatter everything into pieces. At the end of the day, the Browns' lawyers appear dazed. Robyn is sobbing, openly questioning her lawyer whether she should cooperate further. Kody's jaw is set, his eyes wild, as if the floor is being pulled out from under him. Christine, on the other hand, remains still. She doesn't experience victory, just numbness. The man she loved isn't merely a thief or a liar. He could be a federal offender, and the family she worked decades to build could now become an example used in law schools. Just as the hearing is closing, the judge is handed a sealed document from the Department of Justice. He reads it in silence before looking up. Counsel, he warns sternly, The grand jury has called for a number of other witnesses, including Miss Christine Brown herself. Christine's heart freezes. This isn't finished. She's no longer a victim. She's now going to be the star witness in a criminal case that's going to put her ex-husband, and the mother of his youngest children, in prison for decades. The subpoena comes in a plain brown envelope. No TV cameras, no legal theatrics, just the sound of a knock at Christine Brown's door at 7:14 a.m., and a federal agent in a dark suit standing there saying, "Ma'am, the grand jury needs your testimony." Christine gazes at the paper for a long time. It's not fear she feels, not exactly. It's the burden of a decision she never wanted to make. She's no longer simply included in a lawsuit. She's the focal point of a federal criminal case that can send her ex-husband and one-time sister-wife to prison for decades. And as she folds the subpoena into her shaking hands, one thing becomes impossible to deny. This isn't about money anymore. This is about justice, and justice has a cost. The courthouse is chilly when she returns in 2 weeks. No cameras, no reporters shoving microphones into her face. Grand jury proceedings are closed-door affairs, out of public view, away from the fray. What goes on behind these walls will determine the remainder of their lives. Christine's attorney walks beside her, his voice calm and measured. "Remember, you're not on trial here. They just need the truth, all of it." "I know," she whispers, though part of her still doesn't believe it. She enters the wood-paneled room, where 23 strangers, educators, mechanics, retirees, will determine if Kody and Robyn Brown will be federally indicted. The prosecutor-in-chief stands to greet her courteously, then gets down to business. "Miss Brown," he starts, "can you tell me in your words what happened in leading to your breakup and this suit?" Christine pauses and starts telling her story, the one she's recounted 100 times, but never like this. She describes the medical diagnosis, the pleas for assistance, the cold denials, and the day she discovered the bank statement that destroyed her world. She speaks slowly, and the jurors listen with rapt attention, taking notes, simply staring. After she is done, the prosecutor leans forward. "And what did Mr. Brown say to you when you caught up with him?" "He said the money was spent," Christine whispers. "He said we were broke, that the family couldn't pay for my surgery. But a few weeks later, he and Robyn were in Hawaii. And several months later, I learned about the LLC and the accounts." "Did you know anything about the offshore transfers prior to that time?" "No," she insists. "He never told me anything. He always made me feel as if I was overreacting, that I was being selfish even to ask." There is silence in the room. Suddenly one of the jurors asks, "How did that make you feel?" Christine pauses, not because she doesn't know the answer, but because to say it out loud weighs heavier on her than she anticipated. "It made me feel worthless," she says. "Like decades of loyalty, of raising children, of giving up for the family counted for nothing. I was just an inconvenience to him." It's one thing to lose money, it's another to lose your dignity. The inquiry turns to the financial records. The prosecutor sets out papers, bank statements, emails, wire transfers. Christine points out signatures, describes family money practices, and recounts every discussion she can recall regarding money. "Did Mr. Brown ever speak with you about shell companies?" "No." "Did he ever discuss foreign accounts?" "Never." "Did you ever agree to any offshore transactions on behalf of the family?" "Absolutely not." The prosecutor nods. "Miss Brown, based on everything you know, did Mr. Brown knowingly conceal funds so that you couldn't access them?" Christine's gaze fixes on the jurors. "Yes, absolutely." The room is so quiet she can hear her own heart. The jurors scribble madly. The prosecutor thanks her, but he's not finished. "Miss Brown," he continues, walking slowly. "One last question. Was this in your view about defending money, or punishing you?" Christine's throat constricts. She's replayed that question in her mind every night since she walked away. "It was about punishing me," she replies, her voice shaking but certain. "He wanted me to hurt. He wanted me to regret walking out on him. He didn't want to assist me. He wanted to control me. When power is under attack, people don't defend it, they arm it." The next witness who is called is a forensic investigator. Christine remains in the room while he testifies, hearing fresh details that she never knew. The Dubai property was not merely a luxury investment, it was put into a trust in Robyn's maiden name. The Zurich accounts were associated with a private brokerage that was infamous for concealing politically exposed clients. And the biggest surprise, a $2 million insurance policy purchased in Kody's name, paid for in its entirety by transfers from those very same offshore accounts. This was a purposeful scheme, the investigator determined, not an error, not mismanagement. A scheme created to hide assets both from domestic authorities and from Miss Brown. The jurors glance at each other, the kind that mean this is more than any of us ever thought. Later that day, back in open court, the defense works to plug the leak. Kody's lawyer summons him to testify voluntarily, a gamble. He attempts to portray himself as a man overwhelmed and misguided victim of poor counsel and muddled finances. But when the prosecutor cross-examines him, his story doesn't hold up. Mr. Brown, the prosecutor inquires, did you ever reveal these accounts to Miss Brown? No, Kody concedes. Did you ever plan to? He pauses. Not then. Did you say to her that you were broke? Yes. And meanwhile you were sending hundreds of thousands of dollars abroad. I didn't think that was the point. The prosecutor's tone becomes knife-edged. Not the point. You were concealing millions while your wife was pleading for medical attention. What, precisely, would you find relevant? Kody's face reddens. I was defending my future, he snaps. Christine made her decision to leave. I was defending what was mine. The courtroom comes to an instant standstill. It's the one thing his attorneys dreaded he'd say. Some truths don't require proof. They convict in themselves. By the afternoon, Robyn testifies on the stand according to her cooperation. Her evidence is even worse now. She attests that Kody personally signed off on each transfer himself. She concedes that he said to her Christine wouldn't fight back. She even discloses that Kody had thought of moving to Dubai for good if things got too hot. The prosecutor has one last question. Mrs. Brown, ever feel frightened about getting caught? Yes, Robyn whispers. Every day. And did Mr. Brown share that fear? No, she says, shaking her head. He thought he was untouchable. The jury is spellbound. The image of Kody Brown, once the confident patriarch of a beloved TV family, has crumbled into something unrecognizable. A man consumed by greed, arrogance, and fear. Retention booster. The higher someone builds their lies, the harder the fall when the truth hits. By nightfall, the prosecution is over. Christine has done something she never believed she would do. She's spoken the truth, not merely about money but about the years of control, the silent brutality, the lies that almost broke her. The grand jury is sent out to consider. Hours pass by. Then a bailiff enters the courtroom and brings in a sealed envelope for the judge. He reads it attentively, then looks up, his voice ringing through the quiet room. Ladies and gentlemen, he announces, the grand jury has indicted Kody Brown and Robyn Brown on wire fraud, tax evasion, obstruction of justice, money laundering, and conspiracy to defraud the United States. The room erupts. Robyn falls into her seat. Kody bangs his fist on the table. Christine breathes out, a sigh she's been holding for decades. But even as the gavel bangs and the session ends, she knows this won't end here. Indictments are only the start. Trials, sentencing, appeals, the path before her is long. And there's one last reality she has yet to face: forgiveness. Stepping outside into the blinding cameras and shrill headlines, a reporter shouts the question no one's had the nerve to ask yet. Christine, will you testify against your children's father in criminal court? She freezes, her heart racing. Because now the choice is not merely about justice, it's about the repercussions that will haunt her family for the rest of their lives. The courtroom that used to seem like a battlefield, now seems like a tomb. Every sentence uttered here today will be etched into history, part of the last page of a book that opened in love, faith, and vows of forever. Now it closes with federal charges, treachery, and a verdict that will reverberate through the Brown family for generations. Christine stands in the corridor outside, gazing at her reflection in the shiny marble wall, her heart aching, her hands shaking. This is the day she never thought would arrive. The day she would give evidence in the witness box against the father of her children. The day she would see the man she loved, once condemned to decades behind bars. Her lawyer's voice breaks the silence. They're ready for you. Christine takes a deep breath, trying to calm herself. This is not about revenge. It's about closure. It's about truth. And most of all, it's about regaining the power she lost so many years ago. The courtroom is packed. Federal marshals line the walls. Reporters fill the back rows. Even some of the children, now grown, sit quietly in the gallery, their faces pale and solemn. Kody Brown enters in a dark suit, his trademark confidence long gone. Robyn follows, eyes red and puffy from weeks of tears. They don't speak to each other. They don't look at Christine. They know what's coming. The judge sits and clears his throat. Today, this court will impose sentence in the case of United States vet. Kody Brown and Robyn Sullivan Brown. The two defendants have been convicted by a federal jury on a number of counts, such as wire fraud, tax evasion, obstruction of justice, money laundering, and conspiracy to defraud the United States. The words fall like hammer blows. Kody closes his eyes. Robyn clings to the edge of the defense table until her knuckles are white. In advance of sentencing, the judge gives Christine the opportunity to address him. She pauses for a moment, then she stands, walks to the podium, and confronts the man who shared her life. When I met Kody, she starts quietly, I believed in him. I believed in our family. I believed that love and trust could overcome anything. For decades I sacrificed everything I had. My time, my heart, my youth. And when I needed help, when I needed compassion, I was told there was nothing left for me. Not because there wasn't any, but because you decided I didn't deserve it. Her voice breaks, but she doesn't falter. This isn't about money anymore. It's about dignity. It's about the choices you made, to hide, to lie, to destroy the trust of every person who ever believed in you. You didn't just betray me, Kody. You betrayed your children. You betrayed your faith. And you betrayed the man you once promised to be. She stands up, centering herself. I forgive you, but I'll never forget. And I hope this sentence serves to teach you the one thing you are too proud to learn, that nobody is above being held accountable. The courtroom falls silent. Even the judge appears to be affected. Forgiveness isn't forgetting. It's releasing yourself from the burden of their trespasses. Then Robyn speaks in tears. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, she cries. I didn't mean it to go this far. I thought I was defending our future. I thought I was saving our family. I realize now that I was killing it. Kody, though, is rebellious to the end. When the judge asks him if he has something to say, he stares daggers at Christine. You think you've won, he snarls. But this isn't justice, it's revenge. You were always jealous, always angry, and now you've ruined everything for all of us. The judge's expression freezes. Mr. Brown, your lack of remorse has been noted. The time of trusts comes. The courtroom suspends its breaths while the judge reads at the bench. Kody Brown, he states authoritatively, for your part in a planned scheme to hide assets, cheat the United States government, and impede justice, this court sentences you to 27 years in federal prison and requires restitution of $4.8 million. You will have a minimum of 22 years before parole eligibility. The gasp that erupts is instant and deafening. Kody's face goes white. His hands shake. For the first time he appears genuinely scared. Robyn Sullivan Brown, the judge goes on. In accordance with your cooperation with federal authorities, your sentence will be marked by notable leniency. You are hereby sentenced to 5 years in federal prison, with the possibility of release after 3 years. Robyn crumbles sobbing. Marshals advance to take them both in custody. Kody attempts to speak, to protest, to beg, but the words wither in his throat as the handcuffs snap onto his wrists. The deceptions they constructed to shield themselves have become the prison that will confine them. In the gallery, the children weep silently. Janelle blots tears from her eyes. Even Meri, who has said nothing all through the trial, lowers her head in tears. Christine does not weep. She just breathes out, a heavy long breath she has been holding for years. The journey is completed. The struggle is over. But victory is not like triumph. It is like mourning. Outside the courthouse, cameras flash and microphones swirl. Christine stops on the steps, gazing out over the sea of reporters. What next? One yells. Christine pauses. Now she says quietly, we heal. Weeks go by. Lie starts to progress in ways Christine never imagined. The children come back to her more frequent. The burden of silence that once pervaded the house has been dispelled by laughter, even if only tenuous and uncertain. Christine devotes her energy to advocacy work, raising awareness about financial abuse, talking to other women who are trapped and feel powerless. She becomes a voice for herself, but also for anyone who's ever been betrayed by someone they loved and trusted. But there are still nights when the memories come back. The promises, the love, the illusion of family. And on such nights, she stands at the window, looking out at the moon, and says a prayer. Not for Kody, not for Robyn, for herself. Sometimes justice is not about punishment, it's about freeing yourself. A year later, Christine finds herself back in the courthouse. Not as a victim, not as a witness, but as a survivor. Reporters still trail behind her, documentaries still get produced, and books are being written about the Brown family trial. But none of that is relevant anymore. What is relevant is that she's free. Free from deception, free from manipulation, free from the shackles of the past. As she departs the courthouse steps for the last time, a reporter shouts one final question. Christine, if you could tell Kody one thing now, what would it be? She pauses, turns around, and smiles weakly. Thank you, she replies. Because losing you was how I found myself. Justice isn't about the punishment they face, it's about the peace you regain. Kody Brown completes his sentence at a federal penitentiary in Colorado. Robyn is released after 3 years and lives quietly out of the spotlight, far from cameras and controversy. The reality series Sister Wives is officially canceled, but its legacy, and the cautionary tale it became, still resonate. Christine publishes a book about her experience. It is a bestseller, and as she signs her name at the end of the last chapter, she signs it with steady hands and a heart at last unencumbered. The world used to know her as a sister wife. They now know her as something considerably more, a survivor.